He walked into danger. The alien princess followed without hesitation. Ships of every shape and size docked and departed in a carefully choreographed dance, leaving trails of luminescent exhaust that shimmered under the twin suns. Among the traders, explorers, and travelers, humans were considered daring but reckless, a species that survived not because of raw strength, but because of ingenuity and curiosity. Captain Elias Thorne, standing on the observation deck, fit that description perfectly. His coat fluttered in the artificial wind, and his eyes sparkled with the reflection of the bustling port below. Elias had never been one to follow rules if they interfered with curiosity. That was how he had discovered the lost moon ruins of Arctica 3, negotiated with a species that communicated through vibrations alone, and survived encounters with predators that would have ended most lives in seconds. And now, as he stared at the scrolling readouts from his portable scanner, a new curiosity gripped him like nothing before. A signal, a small, irregular pulse of energy coming from a region of Veridia 9 surface that had been declared off-limits for decades. It wasn't random, it wasn't natural. Someone or something was trying to send a message, and Elias could feel it in his bones. It was meant to be found. He packed his exploration kit quickly, checking every device, recalibrating his sensors, and plotting the coordinates. The signal came from the Nebula Canyons, a region riddled with deep chasms, jagged spires of crystalline rock, and magnetic storms that had destroyed many expeditions before. Local authorities called it suicide territory, but Elias didn't care. He wanted to see it for himself. Little did he know, he wasn't entirely alone in his fascination. Among the crowd of nobles, merchants, and technicians observing the spaceport, someone watched him with a careful gaze. Lyris, the alien princess of the Elari people, had never been one to ignore something unusual. Her people's advisors had warned her not to follow humans, calling them impulsive, unpredictable, and dangerous. But as she watched Elias move with confidence, planning his journey into forbidden territory, a sense of admiration and curiosity swelled inside her. He wasn't afraid of the unknown. He didn't need permission to explore. In her long life, few beings had ever inspired such a reaction. When Elias finally stepped toward the shuttle pad, she made her decision. Quietly, without announcement or hesitation, she activated her personal cloak, a shimmering field that rendered her invisible to human and alien sensors alike, and followed him. The city around her blurred as she floated silently above the crowds, the excitement and danger of the upcoming journey thrumming through her veins. Elias' shuttle lifted off with a soft hum, the engines leaving a streak of light across the sky. He had chosen the smallest craft capable of navigating the Nebula Canyons, relying on speed and maneuverability over heavy armor or firepower. The controls felt familiar in his hands, the response smooth, as if the shuttle knew his intentions before he did. He plotted a course for the signal's origin, a path that would take him over narrow ridges, volatile magnetic zones, and ancient abandoned ruins. Each mile brought him closer to what he believed could be the most important discovery of his life. Below him, the terrain twisted and folded in impossible angles, a labyrinth of stone and crystal that seemed to stretch on forever. The scanners beeped steadily, confirming his calculations and revealing anomalies in the rock formations that no natural process could explain. Elias adjusted the shuttle, leaning into turns with precision, smiling at the challenge. Danger was part of the thrill, but for him, understanding and discovery were far greater rewards. Somewhere behind him, Lyris followed, perfectly silent. She marveled at the way humans interacted with their machines, their instinctive understanding of complex systems that even her people sometimes struggled with. It wasn't just courage she admired, it was adaptability. Elias reacted to every shift in the environment, recalibrating, improvising, and thinking ahead, all without a single hint of hesitation. She felt drawn to that ingenuity. She wanted to see it up close, to understand it, and perhaps to be part of it. As the shuttle approached the Nebula Canyons, the signal became clearer, pulsing like a heartbeat against the sensor readouts. Elias leaned forward, his eyes narrowing in concentration. The canyon below was a maze of jagged cliffs and crystalline towers that reached impossibly high, their surfaces reflecting the suns in a dazzling array of colors. Winds of charged particles whipped through the gaps, creating electrical storms that danced like fireworks. One wrong move and the shuttle would be torn apart, But Elias didn't flinch. He found a narrow passage that his scanners indicated as the safest route. Even then, it was risky. The magnetic interference would play havoc with his instruments, requiring constant manual adjustments. His hands flew over the controls, eyes scanning both the instruments and the terrain below. He hummed softly to himself, a rhythm to match the pulsing of the signal. Suddenly, a deep chime resonated from the shuttle's sensors. Something large but not alive had moved in the canyon below. Elias froze for a heartbeat, heart racing. He had expected hazards, storms, and natural dangers, but not this. He quickly assessed the readings. Whatever it wasn't attacking. It was observing something ancient, something intelligent. Lyris felt it too. From her invisible perch, she sensed the presence below, a resonating energy unlike any she had encountered in her people's history. She couldn't see it, but she could feel its awareness, like a quiet pulse beneath the surface of the world. The pulse of curiosity matched their own, and she realized that whatever lay ahead was not just a test of courage, but a puzzle meant to be solved by those willing to think differently, to approach danger with intelligence instead of brute force. Elias guided the shuttle through a narrow tunnel formed by jagged crystal formations. The light fractured across the hull, creating kaleidoscopic patterns that danced across his face. The signal pulsed stronger here, almost like a beacon calling him forward. He whispered to himself, a habit when deep in thought, "Show me what you want me to see." The tunnel opened into a cavern unlike anything Elias had imagined. It was vast, stretching far beyond the range of his sensors. Towering columns of crystalline structures rose from the floor, glowing with an inner light, pulsing in rhythm with the signal. Strange symbols etched into the surfaces shifted faintly as if alive, reorganizing themselves when observed. Elias stepped closer to examine them, awe overtaking caution. Lyris followed silently, her eyes wide despite her composed demeanor. She had seen wonders before, but this place had a feeling of intelligence behind it, as though the cavern itself were aware of their presence. She felt a thrill of excitement mixed with apprehension. Elias approached one of the glowing symbols, and as he reached out, the pattern shifted, forming something he could recognize. A map of the stars, but not like any known to humans or Elari alike. This is ancient," Elias murmured, tracing the lines with his fingers. "Someone was here long before anyone recorded history. They left this for someone capable of understanding it." He glanced at Lyris, unsure if she was there, and smiled when he sensed her presence. "And maybe that someone is both of us." The cavern pulsed in response, as if acknowledging his thought. The signal's rhythm quickened, resonating through the shuttle and the walls alike. Elias' mind raced with possibilities. Technology lost to time, knowledge that could advance space travel, secrets of energy manipulation that could change civilizations. The excitement was intoxicating. Every instinct in him screamed to push further to uncover more. Yet even in his exhilaration, he remained cautious. This was uncharted territory, and one misstep could end everything. He adjusted the shuttle's landing gear to settle safely on a crystalline platform, careful not to damage the delicate formations. Lyris observed silently, impressed at his precision, his respect for the unknown. Humans often took risks, but Elias combined courage with thoughtfulness, a combination rare and powerful. As they stepped out of the shuttle, the air was thick with energy, humming in tune with the signal. Elias moved ahead, scanning, analyzing, his mind working a mile a minute. Lyris stayed close, shadowing him, her curiosity matching his every step. The crystals responded to their presence, glowing brighter as if encouraging them forward. In that moment, Elias and Lyris felt the connection between them. Not of friendship yet, nor of romance, but of kindred spirits bound by curiosity, courage, and a willingness to step into the unknown. The canyon, the signal, the ancient intelligence, it was a challenge, and they were ready to meet it. They didn't know what awaited them deeper within the cavern. But one thing was certain. They were no longer explorers on the surface. They were part of a story far larger than themselves, a story that would test their minds, their courage, and perhaps even the nature of humanity itself. And so, hand in hand with curiosity, Elias Thorne walked into danger, and the alien princess followed without hesitation. The cavern stretched endlessly before them, columns of crystal rising like towers into darkness. The glow from the walls reflected in Elias' eyes, and the hum of energy filled the air, vibrating softly through the floor and the shuttle. Each step felt deliberate. Each movement seemed to echo through the enormous space. The signal pulsed steadily, guiding them forward, but it was no longer a simple direction. It was as if it had its own rhythm, its own voice, inviting them deeper. Elias led the way, his boots crunching softly against the crystalline ground. He carried a small scanning device, waving it in arcs, watching the readings flicker with rapid changes. "This is extraordinary," he murmured, voice low. "Nothing like it exists in our records. Whoever built this place, they were centuries, maybe millennia ahead." Lyris followed, moving silently and gracefully. Her elongated limbs and natural balance made her glide over the uneven floor effortlessly. She tilted her head, studying the patterns etched into the crystals. They were complex, shifting with every angle, forming symbols that danced faintly as if alive. "It's intelligent," she said quietly, almost to herself. "It is as if the place itself can think or at least understand us." Elias glanced at her, smiling. "I thought humans were supposed to be the only ones curious enough to challenge the unknown." Lyris allowed a small smirk. "Curiosity is universal, courage is rarer, but you have both." They moved forward, the light from the crystals reflecting in dizzying patterns across their faces. The cavern widened into a massive chamber, the air thick with an electric hum. In the center floated a cluster of translucent orbs, each emitting its own pulse of colored light. They hovered in precise formation, moving in ways that seemed random yet synchronized. Elias crouched, scanning them. "These aren't just lights," he said, voice filled with awe. "They're energy cores. Possibly storing information, maybe even consciousness." His fingers hovered over the control panel on his wrist device. "If I can interface with them, we could access knowledge left here for anyone brave enough to reach it." Lyris's eyes widened. "Knowledge of this magnitude, it could change civilizations." "Yes," Elias replied, "but only if we understand it correctly. One wrong step and it could be lost forever, or worse, misunderstood and misused." They circled the orbs carefully, studying their movements. Each pulse emitted a faint harmonic tone, blending into a complex melody. Elias noticed patterns in the rhythm, repeating sequences that resembled a code. He extended his hand and touched one of the orbs lightly. It responded instantly, shifting colors and hovering closer to him. He smiled, excitement flashing in his eyes. It's interactive," he said. "It's responding to thought patterns, maybe even intent. Whoever created this, they trusted intelligence and curiosity above all else." Lyris stepped closer, her own hand hovering near another orb. She concentrated, thinking of patterns and logic from her own people's technology. The orb shifted and pulsed brighter, almost acknowledging her presence. Elias looked at her in amazement. "I think it recognizes more than just human thought. That's incredible." They began experimenting, touching orbs, observing responses, and noting patterns. Hours passed, though neither could say for sure how long. The cavern was timeless, a place where normal rules of day and night did not exist. The signal guided them, pulling them deeper into the chamber, but the deeper they went, the more intricate the puzzle became. At one point, Elias stopped, staring at a set of symbols etched into a wall of crystal. They were aligned with the pulses of the orbs, almost like a musical score. "If we can match these patterns," he said, pointing, "we might unlock the next layer of information, but it will take both of us thinking together." Lyris nodded, focusing her mind. She traced the symbols with her fingers, noting the sequences. "This is a combination of logic, intuition, and timing," she observed. "We'll need to synchronize perfectly." For the next several minutes, they worked side by side. Elias suggested patterns, Lyris adjusted timing, and the orbs responded. Slowly, a pathway of glowing light appeared in the center of the chamber, leading to a platform hovering above the floor. The air shimmered as if alive, and Elias felt a thrill of discovery rush through him. They stepped onto the platform cautiously. It floated upward, carrying them through a narrow corridor lined with more crystalline formations. The light pulsed beneath their feet, a soft rhythm that matched the signal. Elias marveled at the engineering. This was not magic, not random chance. It was a precise, intelligent design far beyond anything humans had built, yet somehow compatible with human thought. Lyris observed him closely. "You adapt so easily," she said. "You don't panic. You assess and act. That is rare, even among my people." Elias laughed softly. "I've learned that panicking never solves anything. Curiosity, observation, patience, that's what keeps explorers alive." They arrived at the end of the corridor, stepping onto a circular platform in the center of a room filled with holographic star maps. The maps shifted and rotated, showing constellations, planets, and space routes. Some were familiar, some unknown. A faint voice, almost melodic, resonated through the room, not words, but a pattern of tones and vibrations. Elias realized it was a language of energy, designed to be interpreted by beings capable of reasoning and imagination. He extended his hands, moving through the holograms, interpreting sequences. These maps, they're pointing to regions of space abandoned long ago. And look at this, he said, pointing to a cluster of planets connected by pulsing lines. This must be the origin of the signal. Lyris stepped forward, analyzing the patterns from her perspective. It's not just a map, she said. It's a message. Whoever created this wanted someone intelligent enough to solve it. They left clues, tests, challenges. Elias nodded. And were the ones who found it. Amazing, isn't it? They worked together, decoding the patterns, solving small logic puzzles embedded in the energy maps. Each solution caused new pathways to light up, new symbols to appear, new orbs to pulse. It was a delicate dance of thought and observation. Sometimes Elias would hesitate, unsure of a step, and Lyris would guide him with subtle intuition. Other times, he would suggest a sequence she had not considered, and the orbs would respond instantly. Hours passed, and the challenge became more intricate. One puzzle required arranging floating energy shards in a precise geometric pattern. Another involved harmonizing the tone of vibrations with their own movements. Each success caused the cavern to respond, not violently, but with wonder, a soft glow, a melodic resonance, an acknowledgement that they were solving the puzzle as intended. At one point, they paused to rest, sitting on a crystalline ledge. Elias rubbed his temples, exhausted but exhilarated. I've faced danger before, Lyris, he said. But this is different. It's not physical danger. It's mental. It's testing what we can think, what we can imagine. And somehow, I feel it's rewarding human curiosity. Lyris smiled. Your species is remarkable. You face the unknown not just with courage, but with creativity. You adapt in ways few others can. That is what this place is testing. Elias glanced at her, feeling a sense of partnership forming. I'm glad you're here. I wouldn't want to solve this alone. They resumed their work, now moving as a synchronized team. Each puzzle became progressively harder, but with every success, the light in the cavern grew stronger, the hum of energy more harmonious. The signal pulsed more vividly, guiding them like a heartbeat, as if approving their progress. Finally, they reached the central chamber of the cavern. Here, the energy cores formed a perfect sphere of light, suspended above a pedestal. It radiated warmth and intelligence. The signal's pulse was strongest here, almost overwhelming in its intensity. Elias approached cautiously, analyzing the energy field. This is it. The core. Whatever message they wanted to leave, it's here. Lyris stepped beside him, sensing the energy resonate through her being. It feels alive, not in a way that can harm us, but aware. It knows we are worthy to be here. Elias extended a hand, placing it near the energy sphere. The orbs around it shifted, forming a pattern that resembled a welcoming gesture. Then the sphere expanded slightly, projecting a holographic interface of impossible complexity. Maps, diagrams, symbols, and sequences danced in the air. Elias' heart raced. We've done it. We've reached the source. Lyris studied the projections, tracing patterns with her fingers. And it's giving us knowledge, not power, not weapons, but understanding. It trusts us to use it wisely. Together, they began exploring the holographic interface, absorbing information that could transform their understanding of energy, space travel, and life itself. Each discovery sparked excitement, awe, and a deep respect for the ancient civilization that had created this place. As the light from the sphere bathed them, Elias realized something important. This is what humans are meant to do. We explore, we discover, we adapt. We survive not by strength, but by thought, curiosity, and courage. This is humanity's gift. Lyris looked at him, admiration clear in her eyes. And your gift has inspired me. I have seen bravery before, but I have never seen it paired with intelligence like this. You and your people, you are capable of so much more than you realize. The cavern pulsed softly, as if agreeing. The signal that had drawn them here seemed content. Elias smiled, filled with a mixture of pride, excitement, and responsibility. Then let's make sure we understand it fully, together. And so, deeper into the mysteries of the cavern, Elias and Lyris continued their journey, solving puzzles, decoding messages, and uncovering knowledge that had waited for centuries to be discovered. Danger still lay ahead, but it was no longer the kind that could destroy them. The danger now was understanding, adaptation, and the challenge of curiosity, and they were ready. In the heart of the ancient cavern, two explorers, one human, one alien, worked together, proving that courage, curiosity, and intelligence were more powerful than fear, more rewarding than gold, and more enduring than any physical challenge. And the adventure was only just beginning. The light from the energy sphere bathed the chamber in colors Elias had no names for. It was alive, not in the sense of breathing or moving, but in a way that seemed to watch, understand, and respond. Every movement they made was acknowledged by gentle pulses of light and sound. Elias and Lyris had spent hours studying the holographic interface, deciphering star maps, energy flows, and symbols that hinted at technology beyond anything currently known. Elias traced a complex sequence of glowing lines across the holographic map. "These are star systems that don't exist in any recorded charts," he said. "I think they were deliberately hidden. Whoever created this, they didn't want just anyone to find it." Lyris studied the symbols beside the map. "They also left warnings," she said quietly. "Not threats, warnings, something to be careful about, something dormant waiting." Elias' brow furrowed. "Dormant, you mean a weapon or a natural danger?" "Neither," Lyris said, shaking her head. "It is a threat in the sense that it is powerful and misunderstood. If approached recklessly, it could cause chaos. But with intelligence and caution, it can be controlled, understood, or avoided." Elias leaned back, taking a deep breath. The idea of a dormant galactic threat was both terrifying and exhilarating. Humans thrived on challenges, and this was not just any challenge. This was one that could shape the future of countless civilizations. They returned to the orbs, which had now arranged themselves into a pattern forming a staircase of floating light. The interface projected symbols that resembled instructions, suggesting they climb, explore, and continue their investigation. Elias moved first, stepping carefully onto the staircase. Each step hummed under his feet, and the light beneath them seemed to adjust to his weight and movement, glowing brighter. Lyris followed seamlessly, her presence graceful and deliberate. "This place adapts to thought," she observed. "It doesn't just test strength or skill, it tests perception, awareness, and collaboration." Elias smiled. "Sounds like the kind of challenge humans are built for." The staircase led them to a vast circular chamber. The ceiling was lost in darkness above, but the floor glowed faintly with embedded patterns resembling circuits of light. At the center of the room floated a holographic globe of a distant galaxy. Tiny lights blinked across the sphere, indicating planets, star systems, and unknown phenomena. A pulsing rhythm emanated from it, matching the original signal that had led Elias here. He approached the globe, extending his hand. The globe responded instantly, expanding and revealing a complex series of projections. Paths of energy snaked across the galaxy, connecting distant systems in a network that seemed alive. "These aren't just maps," Elias said, voice hushed. "This is a record of something that moves across galaxies, something enormous." Lyris tilted her head. "I can feel it," she said. "A presence, not alive in a biological sense, but aware. It is not a machine. It is not natural. It is something older, wiser, and waiting." Elias studied the projections, his mind racing. "Look at the sequences here," he said. "Every movement is calculated, every connection precise. This is intelligence. Whoever built this anticipated understanding from beings capable of thought. They trusted reasoning over instinct. They spent hours analyzing, comparing, and noting patterns. The chamber seemed to respond to their work, adjusting projections and shifting symbols in subtle ways. Every discovery they made caused new layers to unfold, revealing further complexity. At one point, a cluster of planets lit up, showing faint signs of energy fluctuation. Elias traced the lines leading to it, realizing that these fluctuations indicated the presence of a dormant force, one capable of immense energy manipulation. "This must be the source of the warning," he said. "It isn't dangerous if approached carefully, but it is powerful. It could disrupt entire systems if mismanaged." Lyris placed her hand on his arm. "We are meant to understand it," she said softly. "Not conquer it, not destroy it, understand it." Elias nodded, absorbing the responsibility that weighed upon him. Humans were capable of adaptation, creativity, and problem-solving, but this was a challenge that required patience, observation, and teamwork. And he was not alone. Lyris's presence was not just supportive, it was essential. Her knowledge of alien technology, combined with his human ingenuity, allowed them to see patterns neither could fully comprehend alone. They moved to a section of the globe representing a distant sector of space. Symbols appeared, showing networks of energy conduits linking planets and star systems. These conduits, Elias said, are pathways of energy manipulation. The civilization that created this used them to travel, communicate, and perhaps even influence matter. And it seems they left instructions. Lyris nodded, studying the patterns carefully. The instructions are not direct. They are encoded in a way that tests intelligence. This civilization did not trust force. They trusted thought, observation, caution, wisdom. Elias ran his fingers through his hair. We're being tested, and this is the final stage. If we solve this, we will understand the dormant force and how to manage it. They spent the next hours decoding sequences, matching patterns, and interpreting symbols. It was like solving a puzzle on a galactic scale, where each correct solution revealed the next step. Lyris guided Elias through complex sequences that required lateral thinking, while Elias applied intuition and improvisation where the interface seemed ambiguous. Eventually, they reached a final sequence, represented by a glowing symbol that resembled a heartbeat at the center of the galaxy. The orbs floated around it, pulsing in a synchronized rhythm, as if waiting for a signal from them. Elias took a deep breath. "This is it," he whispered, "the core of the knowledge, the dormant force itself." Lyris placed her hand on his shoulder. "We need to approach carefully, thoughtfully. Every action matters." Together, they extended their hands toward the glowing symbol. As they touched it, the chamber responded instantly. Light surged around them, projections expanded into three-dimensional forms, and the rhythm of energy filled the air like music. The globe of the galaxy rotated, revealing intricate flows of energy connecting every planet, every star, every unknown system. Elias felt a surge of understanding. The dormant force was not a weapon, not a monster. It was energy itself, conscious in a way that could sense intelligence, reason, and intent. The ancient civilization had harnessed it and left it encoded as a test. Only those capable of curiosity, collaboration, and careful reasoning could interact with it safely. Lyris's eyes shone with comprehension. "It trusts us," she said. "It is responding to our thought, our intelligence, our caution. It is not dangerous. It is a guide." Elias smiled, feeling a mixture of awe, relief, and exhilaration. "We've done it. We've passed the test. We can understand it and maybe even use it to help countless worlds." The chamber pulsed one final time, and then the projection stabilized, revealing a clear map of the galaxy with energy conduits glowing faintly along key routes. Symbols appeared that represented instructions on how to safely access and manipulate the dormant force. Elias traced the sequences, memorizing patterns and recording data. Lyris followed closely, ensuring every step was understood. "This is incredible," Elias said. "With this knowledge, we can improve travel, communication, and energy systems across civilizations. We can help worlds that struggle to survive. This is what humans are meant to do: solve problems, create solutions, and explore possibilities." Lyris smiled, her admiration for Elias and his species deepening. "Your curiosity, courage, and intelligence are remarkable. Humans are capable of more than they realize, and now we can share that with the galaxy." As they studied the final projections, Elias realized something profound. The ancient civilization had left a legacy not in the form of power or domination, but in trust. They had trusted beings capable of thought, beings willing to face the unknown, beings who valued understanding over force. And humans, through curiosity, reasoning, and collaboration, had earned that trust. For the first time in her life, Lyris felt a deep certainty about humans. They were not merely brave. They were clever, adaptable, and persistent. They could confront challenges that others would shy away from. And in that moment, she knew that humans deserved a place of respect and admiration in the galaxy. The chamber hummed softly, almost like a lullaby, acknowledging their success. Elias and Lyris stepped back, taking in the vast array of knowledge surrounding them. They had solved the puzzles, decoded the messages, and unlocked the understanding of a force that had waited millennia for intelligent minds to approach it. Elias turned to Lyris. "We did it, together," She nodded, smiling. Yes, together. The cavern, once a place of mystery and uncertainty, now felt like a bridge between civilizations. The dormant force, once incomprehensible, was now a tool for wisdom, understanding, and collaboration. And humans, through their curiosity, courage, and ingenuity, had proven themselves worthy. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Elias felt a surge of excitement for the future. This discovery was not the end, it was the beginning. A beginning of new exploration, new collaboration, and new possibilities. And through it all, he knew one thing. Humanity, guided by curiosity and intelligence, was capable of facing any challenge the galaxy could offer. Lyris looked at him, and for the first time there was no hesitation. Together, they would carry this knowledge forward, bridging worlds, building trust, and proving that courage and intelligence could shape the stars themselves. And in that moment, deep within the ancient cavern, Elias and the alien princess understood something profound. The greatest adventures were not about danger or conquest, but about understanding, collaboration, and the limitless potential of beings willing to think, explore, and trust in each other. The journey back to the spaceport of Veridia 9 felt different. The shuttle glided smoothly through the canyon, the jagged cliffs and crystalline towers now familiar to Elias and Lyris. The signal that had drawn them into the cavern pulsed faintly one last time before fading completely. Elias felt a mixture of relief and exhilaration. They had uncovered something extraordinary, something that could change the galaxy, and survived the mental and physical challenges of the ancient civilization's tests. Lyris sat beside him, observing him quietly. She had never felt such admiration for another species. Humans, she realized, were not just brave, they were capable of intelligence, intuition, and creativity that surpassed expectations. Elias glanced at her, noting the calm confidence in her expression. "You're thinking about the implications, aren't you?" he asked with a smile. "I am," Lyris replied. "We have knowledge now that can reshape the way civilizations understand energy, travel, and cooperation. And humans, your people have proven worthy of it. You adapt, improvise, and think in ways no other species I know could." Elias chuckled softly. "I like to think that curiosity and persistence go a long way. It seems we've both learned something from each other." The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, and the familiar sights of the spaceport came into view. Ships and vehicles moved across the docks, unaware of the discovery that had just been made. Elias adjusted the landing gears and guided the shuttle smoothly to the pad, greeted by the usual hum of activity. But for him and Lyris, everything had changed. They stepped out of the shuttle, feeling the soft breeze of the artificial atmosphere. The port looked the same, yet somehow it felt smaller, limited. The galaxy and the challenges it held suddenly seemed more accessible, more inviting. They carried knowledge that could help civilizations thrive, energy that could unlock new possibilities, and proof that intelligence and courage could solve even the greatest puzzles. Elias led Lyris through the port toward the communications hub, where he intended to report their findings to the scientific council. His mind raced with ideas of how the dormant energy networks could be harnessed safely, how humans could collaborate with other species, and how the galaxy could benefit from this knowledge. Lyris followed closely, observing the bustling activity of humans and aliens alike. She realized that this was where humanity truly shone, not just in isolated acts of bravery, but in their ability to interact with complexity, adapt to challenges, and think beyond immediate threats. At the communications hub, Elias contacted the council. Holographic screens activated around him, projecting the familiar faces of scientists, engineers, and interstellar diplomats. His voice was calm but carried excitement. "I have located and accessed the energy network described in the ancient signal. The system is dormant, intelligent, and responsive to reasoning and observation. It can be understood, controlled, and shared safely with civilizations capable of thought and collaboration." There was a pause, then a flurry of questions. "How did you access it?" one of the council members asked. "Is it safe?" "Yes," Elias replied. "The system tests intelligence and caution. It is not a weapon. It is a legacy of an ancient civilization that trusted those capable of thought to interact with it responsibly. Lyris and I navigated its challenges and decoded its instructions. It will allow safe energy transfer, advanced travel routes, and communication networks that can connect civilizations previously isolated by distance." Lyris stepped forward, projecting her presence through the holographic interface. "I can confirm his words," she said. "This knowledge is a gift for those willing to learn." The human species has shown intelligence, curiosity, and courage in a way that is rare even among long-lived civilizations. They are worthy of trust, and their potential is extraordinary. The council members exchanged astonished glances. Praise from an alien princess carried weight, but her acknowledgement of humanity's intelligence and reliability elevated their status beyond any political or military measure. As the reports spread across the spaceport and then through interstellar networks, humans began receiving messages of respect, collaboration, and curiosity from species who had once doubted them. Elias watched the notifications with quiet satisfaction. "We've done more than discover technology," he said to Lyris. "We've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of." Lyris nodded. "And you've proven that courage paired with thought can overcome challenges no species could face alone. Humanity deserves this recognition." "They deserve to be trusted, not feared," Elias smiled. "It's amazing what happens when curiosity drives action instead of fear." Over the next days, the Council coordinated a detailed study of the ancient network. Humans and aliens worked together, combining knowledge, reasoning, and intuition. Elias and Lyris guided teams through safe interaction with the dormant energy systems, ensuring the discoveries were applied responsibly. Every experiment, every test, confirmed that the ancient civilization's design relied on intelligence, cooperation, and careful observation. No species could exploit it recklessly, but any capable of understanding could use it to advance civilizations across the galaxy. During this period, Elias and Lyris explored the potential of the knowledge themselves. They charted energy conduits between distant star systems, discovered ways to safely accelerate travel without fuel limitations, and developed communication networks that could reach planets previously unreachable. Each success reinforced the lesson that human creativity, combined with collaboration, was a force to be reckoned with. Word of their achievements spread quickly. Humans were no longer seen as reckless adventurers. They were innovators, problem solvers, and partners capable of solving challenges that others avoided. Diplomatic missions sought them out. Scientific communities requested collaboration. And through it all, Elias remained humble, focused on the possibilities rather than accolades. Lyris observed the transformation with quiet satisfaction. "You and your people have changed perceptions," she said one evening, as they stood on the observation deck overlooking the spaceport. "You've done something few species ever achieve. You've proven intelligence and courage are greater than fear and doubt." Elias watched the ships gliding through the twin suns' light. "It's what humans do best," he said. "We explore, we solve, we adapt. We take risks, yes, but we learn from them. That's what this discovery has shown, not just to the galaxy, but to us." Lyris smiled, a rare softness in her gaze. "And together, we've ensured that the knowledge will be used wisely. That is perhaps the most important part." Elias nodded. "Knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. But knowledge with careful thought, collaboration, and curiosity, that can change the galaxy." As the weeks passed, the dormant energy networks were carefully activated, tested, and integrated into scientific and diplomatic projects. Planets previously struggling to sustain life now had access to safe energy resources. Star systems once unreachable now had reliable communication and travel pathways. And human explorers, scientists, and diplomats gained a reputation for ingenuity, courage, and reliability across the galaxy. Lyris often accompanied Elias on missions, observing human innovation and adaptability firsthand. She marveled at their ability to improvise, to think creatively, and to collaborate across cultural and species boundaries. Every challenge reaffirmed her belief in humanity's potential. Elias, for his part, thrived on the excitement of discovery. He led teams to map additional energy conduits, decipher newly revealed projections, and apply the knowledge to benefit worlds that had long been isolated. And always, Lyris was by his side, guiding, advising, and learning from him as much as he learned from her. One evening, as they stood on the edge of the observation deck looking out at the stars, Elias reflected on the journey. "We walked into danger," he said softly. "We didn't know what we would find, and yet we discovered something incredible." Lyris placed her hand on his arm. "And we did it together," she said. Not through force, not through fear, but through intelligence, courage, and cooperation. That is something few species ever achieve. Elias smiled, feeling the weight of their accomplishments. It's more than we imagined. And it's only the beginning. There are still countless mysteries in the galaxy, waiting for minds willing to think, explore, and adapt. Lyris nodded. And humans, your people will continue to rise to those challenges, I have no doubt. You have proven yourselves capable of greatness beyond measure. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the spaceport, Elias and Lyris stood together, united in purpose and discovery. They had faced unknown dangers, solved puzzles that tested intelligence and courage, and unlocked knowledge that had waited centuries to be understood. Humanity's reputation across the galaxy had been transformed, and the ancient civilization's trust had been earned. And in that moment, Elias knew that adventure was not about fear, conflict, or conquest. It was about curiosity, reasoning, and courage. It was about stepping into the unknown and discovering not just new places, but new potential, within oneself and within humanity. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges and mysteries yet to be uncovered. And Elias Thorne, with the alien princess Lyris at his side, was ready, not for glory, not for power, but for discovery, understanding, and the limitless possibilities of intelligent courage. Together, they had walked into danger, and together, they had proven that humans could rise to meet any challenge the galaxy offered. And for the first time, the galaxy knew it too. The adventure was far from over. New signals would appear, new puzzles would emerge. But Elias and Lyris, bound by curiosity, intelligence, and courage, were ready to face them. And humanity would continue to shine, not through force or dominance, but through creativity, adaptation, and the indomitable spirit that had brought them this far. The stars themselves seemed to pulse in recognition, as if the universe acknowledged what humans could achieve. And in that recognition, Elias felt the truth of it. Humanity was capable of extraordinary things, and the galaxy had only begun to see their potential. The journey of discovery had reached a milestone, but the path ahead stretched farther than anyone could imagine. And for Elias, for Lyris, and for all of humanity, it was a journey worth taking. One thought, one solution, one courageous step at a time. He walked into danger. The alien princess followed without hesitation.